Welcome to the TC Dojo from Single Sourcing Solutions. The TC Dojo is a TechCom community that is driven by you. Tell us what you want to learn. You choose the topics, and we find the experts. In the TC Dojo open session today, we're delighted that Joanne Lavallée is here to share her experience creating content strategy in an SMB. Joanne was the STC Spectrum co-chair for 2019. She's an electronic engineer turned technical writer. She started in writing in the manufacturing field, and over 20 years, she has used all possible technical writing tools in English and French, from marketing to parts and even designing safety warning stickers. SMEs love her muffins, and supervisors appreciate her team spirit. It's been my good fortune to get to know Joanne over the last few years, and we're grateful she agreed to be our visiting dojo master today. She has a lot to cover, but loves answering questions, so type them in as you go, and I'll ask it at the next opportunity. If you want to ask yourself, please let me know so I can unmute you. Either way, be sure to type in your questions as soon as you think of them so you don't forget what you wanted to ask. Joanne, it's all yours.
Hi, I'm Joanne, and I'll tell you about driving a content strategy when you're in a small ship. So, my name is Joanne Lavallée, and I am the sole technical writer at Vermax. Being at Vermax, being solo at Vermax means it includes in my tasks translation, reviewing, content strategy, information architecture, and in-house word reviewing and support services. I can read technical writer on my paycheck since 1997, but I'm a tech writer ever since my father brought home a Commodore 64 and I picked up a notepad to note down functions for my family. See a pattern here? I'm sure some of you were like that too. If someone from the future would have tapped on my shoulder to tell me one day I would be paid to do this, I would have not believed it. I wanted to share with other small, medium enterprises the good news that strategy will be much easier. After going to LavaCon in 2015, I decided I should take the lead on this stuff, but I did not know how. So I started reading. We started having monthly meetings about manuals, and I asked my boss about a strategy. He was interested, and he asked me for a one-pager. So I wanted to share with you a bit of this use case and walk through content strategy, global content strategy, and show you how I see this being easy for a small business. Okay, what this presentation is not is I am not a consultant. I'm an employee sharing a use case and experience in dealing with content in a small high-tech business. Consultants are easy to find, and I'm just here to share. I will talk about data a bit, but not data per se, because I don't use it. I want to tell you how to use metrics and give you references, such as Mark Lewis's book, Data Metrics 101. I will not talk about globalizing. I was a translator full-time for a couple of years, and I can point you to some solutions, but global here means tying the front end and the back end strategies. In this session, I will tell you how I see why are SMBs, small medium businesses, so much better off with a global content strategy, signs you are ready or not for a global content strategy, examples, what is a global strategy, setbacks, how to deal with them and accept them to go further, tools, metrics, agile, mind mapping, and I have a couple of handouts for you. Okay, so why are we better for going straight to a global content strategy? According to the US Census Bureau data in 2014, SME businesses with less than 20 workers accounted for 97.9% of all firms in the US. They contributed 46% of the private non-farm GDP in 2008. which are the most recent numbers I found, making them hugely important for economic growth, innovation, and diversity. We're small enough. The transition is easier. Small, medium enterprises drive a smaller ship. It's easier to change course because a smaller team has a common culture. You can adapt your strategy to your team, and we're no Titanic. Pieces of the puzzle are already here most of the time. You have to compare what you already have with the standard structure of a global content strategy. You might be surprised. The coolest part? Smaller means less EOs, less CEOs, CTOs, CCOs. If you find the right sponsor, your ideas have so much more a chance to work. Okay, good. So are you ready for a content strategy? According to me, now site references. According to me, if you have a marketing person full-time and a tech writer full-time, you have a good chance to be ready because you have a marketing person and a technical writer. You have two practitioners, two mindsets, two important players. You have the why and the how. If you see management starting to have meetings on content, why a content chief officer? In my company, we have manual priorities meetings. I call them my CCO meetings. Front end and back end meet there. If you see pieces of a strategy appear, a CMS, an audit of software tools to regroup them, using Jira across the company, adopting a process development process, a product development process, then you're starting to see signs. Ask your boss or sponsor about what pieces are in place that you are not seeing, what elements in their strategy evolves around any kind of content. Signs you're ready for content strategy according to AHA Media Content. You need this, an executive sponsor. Mine is a vice president of research and development. And it's not enough. I'm trying to figure out how to get buy-in from a VP of sales. But lately, during our manual meetings, I found out that the support manager is really cued into what I'm trying to do, and we started working together. And he actually volunteered for a content audit. Remember what implementing ISO is like. Without the highest possible executive sponsor, you fail miserably. The definition around the 5 bullets. When you ask anyone who works anywhere to articulate their company in 5 bullets, they should be able to do so. That means the brand has a resonance. The people who work there understand what it is and what it stands for. Negotiation skills or an outsourced negotiator, because the process will require confrontations and deep changes. I believe in outside help. Our company has a firm that has been coaching it, and I know we could call on them for strategy, and the stronger heads will listen to them to say what I have been saying for 3 years, and it's fine with me. You need tolerance for risk. It's tied to the previous point. If you can trust an outsourcer and tell them what's wrong or right as you go, you've reached a maturity to use that expert for your strategy. Expectation of an end product. According to this consultant and that source, if you use terms he can understand, like editorial guidelines, governance documentation processes, page tables, and editorial calendars, he knows we're good. You don't need to know what it's all about. Just have a broad idea that shows a clear intention of organizing content. But if you want to steer clear of consultants, you need to be thinking, I want to know who should be creating the content, who should be publishing it, when they should be publishing it, what we should be saying, who we should be saying it to, and how we should be analyzing it. What is a content strategy? A content strategy is the high-level vision that guides future content development to deliver against a specific business objective, money. It's not only about marketing. Joe Gallner told me this oversimplifying things, for example, by subordinating content strategy to UX. But that is an important thing to do when dealing with executives. I tend to emphasize not just the role of content in the customer experience, but also in the engineering life cycle and how products are designed and made in addition to how they're used and serving is documented. Front end is the why, back end is the how. Workflow governance. Putting the how and the why together. We are simply pairing tools for now at Vermax and working together. We have a CCO committee, as I was mentioning it earlier. Sitting in this committee is the CEO, our VP of R&D, production launch, marketing, me, and my Scrum Master. During that meeting, we decided to put QR codes right on our systems to link the manuals directly to our customers. Our customers work in construction work zones and often need information quickly right from their smartphone. This one decision to me was a very good decision that could have been planned if we had a CS, content strategy. Some customers don't want CDs anymore. So now Doc is 100% digital. Everything that will roll out of our factory around the end of November, that rolled out at the end of the November starting on has a QR code. So the content governance has reached a certain maturity. How's your content maturity? Just think about that. How do you make your content decisions? Now, what is a global content strategy? Global content strategy is a plan for managing content that is intended for people whose main language is something other than the source language. Now, let's look at a global content strategy structure to see how it's not just about globalization. Okay. Part 1, understanding where you are and where you want to be. According to Hannah Smith on content strategy, you need to first do company, competitor, and customer research. What are your goals for managing global content? So it is understanding who we are. You need to do this before even setting your goals for managing content. How is your global content currently created and managed? Look at the same time at your local content, save time, check out that data metrics book from Mark Lewis to get your numbers straight. How do you currently create and translate content? Implement simple English right away in your writing, then look at how you translate and save at the source. What content do you currently have? Do your content audit thinking of what will need to be translated? Mark it. Think of your metadata. Okay. Remember, you will not see benefits from content strategy unless you're ready to hear hard truths about your content strategy. Your business is willing to do the therapy to change the way you think about content, and you realize there are entrenched systems that create your content chaos, and some of them will have to change to make effective communication possible. This is where a person from outside could be useful. If your company gets a business coach, ask them what they think. If they tell management the same message you're trying to say and have been trying to say for years, then you will be able to say, hey, I can make that possible. Part 3, moving ahead. Oops. What do you need to narrow the gap? Because you are small, sometimes it's only one employee that needs training. We're small. What tools and infrastructures change do you need? Look for existing tools, improve them. We have a product development process, and it's slowly gaining the company, department by department. It is currently across all R&D and engineering and marketing. Jira, or Jira, I'm not sure, is in everything R&D and engineering. And we used to log work as tickets, linked to Zendesk, and we now enter our ISO corrective actions in Jira. IT just came on board, and we are talking about using Jira, the chat module from Jira. For each PDP we start, we have an index that points to all deliverables. They all use templates. That's a lot of content, and that can be structured. How can you improve the quality of your source content before it is translated? Make sure you address the source correctly. Implement ubiquitous language in projects. Accept languages that has to be adopted early on and involve marketing as early as possible. Talk to them when they decide to name a new product and communicate it across the rest of the company. They're not talking to marketing. When your terminology becomes stable, include the new terms in your official lexicon. Make sure it's approved by marketing and used by R&D. If you see a term that's not right in Jira, then correct it yourself or ask someone to do it. Marcom and TechCom need to work together. What changes do you need to make your workflow to support your global content strategy? Once the lexicon is up and running, you need to decide if you outsource translation or grow your content department. I have a colleague who has a good French and understands English. I make her translate the bulk to French, then I review. We try to develop expertise in-house, and we actually really use outsourcing for punctual needs. Very few contractors remain involved for a long time. Setbacks. You will get them. There are always setbacks. If you've been through the effort of turning ISO, you know that sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you have to start over. Yeah, I'll go over that in another slide. Okay. No, that's it. Okay. In August, I asked the marketing manager if they are talking content strategy yet, and he tells me that there will never be one. He was really disappointed that management wants to put minimal content online and prefers customers to call to sell. He looked completely discouraged, but he's younger, and I have more reason to be optimistic. So I went back to my boss, told him that we could lose our marketing manager who could easily use this as a platform for another marketing manager spot. He told me he would do the how are you in the hall technique. I also asked him how my idea was progressing, and he honestly told me that my idea about content strategy, and he told me it wasn't even in their 5-year business plan. But that we did not put me down because I know we are getting organized. We are slowly moving the whole company in a product development process. First, we did R&D, all that, and all the back end is sprinting at the end as of the end of September last year. These are pieces of the puzzle of a strategy, and they are in the business plan. So I asked my boss if I could see the plan. And of course, he said no. So I asked him if he could identify other pieces for me in the puzzle. And so we could see how much more we needed to get this going based on my one pager. I'm convinced that 70% is the business plan, and we have business coaches that probably know how to address the rest. For the ISO example, I saw two bad experiences. The first one, they hired a manager for ISO in another company before, and because he didn't have buy-in from the management, he ended up leaving after 6 months. And at Vermex, they used to be ISO, and they stopped because they thought it was too expensive. And then 2 years ago, they started again, knowing that we're getting pretty international now. So it worked this time because the management really wanted to do this. Any questions at this point, Liz?
So far, no questions.
Okay. So tools, Agile. Agile is a good way to get buy-in. If everyone sprints in scrums, they quickly see why gaps need to be filled. The force approach gets everybody because we all want to do a good job. Force means focus, openness, respect, courage, engagement. If you can start from French instead of English as a source for a translation, once you've done the simplified English clean out, then it's better because French is longer. Otherwise, simplified English does it, but you must remove any inference. A PDP is an awesome ally. Once a PDP doc is in templates, it's easy to initiate a system of wizards, smart builders, CMS. You're small. So if you find a translation memory you like, take it. And the translation outsourcer will have it if they have a certain size. Remember to break down content into manageable chunks and to use data and facts, internal terminology, look at the look and feel and taxonomy if you're doing data. So, what is king? Oh, Bill Gates says content is king. My boss would say cost is king. In French, king is what? So, good content is return on investment. So both. Content is what? It's king. And as an epilogue of my story, they reviewed the business plan in November. My content strategy was in their list. I am starting a content audit, and support was the first team to really volunteer for this. So there you go.
Now it's time to type in those questions if you haven't already. And while you do, here's a look at what's coming up. The TC Dojo Mastermind groups are monthly driven member discussion groups where attendees present their specific challenges to a group of their peers in a confidential, supportive environment. A mastermind is a collaborative environment where everyone lends their experience to each other. They can get feedback and advice about topics on their mind in real time from others who've been in their shoes. It's been amazing to participate in and a lot of fun too. We have 3 going on right now. One is everything TechCom, data, topic-based authoring, the specifics of cross-references or graphics. The other 2 are product-focused on Windchill for IT and ArborText users. These sessions are not free. They're a way to guarantee commitment between the participants. You can sign up at the TC Dojo website at mastermind.tcdojo.org. We know sometimes magic is just having the time to collaborate with someone who's been where you are. Next time in the TC Dojo, we have Nancy Larby coming to help you grow your political and social communication skills. She's one of the founders of Tech Writers Without Borders, and she's going to have us all soften the noise and become conduits for information exchange. She believes tech writers are the key to improving client relationships and the chances of project success. It's going to be a great session, so to be sure to sign up. How do you do that? You go to www.tcdojo.org. It's a short link that will take you to this page. Scroll down to the bottom and you can see what's coming up and sign up for any session that you're interested in. So we do have a question. Are you ready? Do
Yes.
you have an example of translation memory product that you might look into? Which ones have you used and do you like?
I've worked with SDL once, and it's a good tool. It's expensive. If you can find the SDL Lite, it's less expensive, and sometimes you can come across a free version. I think there's a way to get that, but it's the only tool I've used. I saw an open source one, and without a tutorial or anything, so it's hard to get into the way it works. But yeah, SDL is pretty much the most used memory.
All right, here's another one. Is all content going digital or only certain pieces? For example, Mary works for an SMB and she's been trying to get them to start a content strategy while they're small, using the argument that it's easier to start now than develop one when you're big. They're resisting and in creating Word documents with the belief that only engineers should digitize their specifications. So I think we're looking for, is everything going digital or only some things? What's your feeling?
We will be looking at what is used the most and leave the legacy stuff as PDFs. And the key to convince is to go to the customer. You know that if you've been to any summit or conference lately, so you need to go to support and see what they really need, and then you use that to make it digital.
Are you using Dita?
No, I'm not, but I heavily relied on the detail metrics book to find out what the cost of a page is and to find arguments that speak to leaders of a company, because I'm technical writers I'm just starting to learn about leadership. I don't know all the jargon, so there's a lot in that book that can help.
So we had one was, what was your most significant you found so far?
Significant what?
So it said you found an ally with support. What was the key point for support from that relationship? You support twice.
Simply just talking more with him. When he came up with the QR code idea, I was, wow, he wants to do minimalism. And when I said that word, it didn't go blank. He understood what I was saying. So I started talking more with him and realized that we had the same objectives and that he was really keen to the high-tech stuff. And that's what they want to do at support. They're so busy. They want to find ways to be leaner. So it's a very good ally.
Excellent. Are you using a CCMS?
I'm using SharePoint and Smart Docs. So I'm in Word and it's working really well.
All right. Here's one. What was your first sign that took you down this road? You listed a bunch of signs.
Yes.
What was the first one you noticed for yours?
When our marketing coordinator became a manager, because we get along well too. And when I saw this presentation about, that's where a presentation that was explaining that we do the how and they do the why. And this started a conversation with marketing. And then I started digging in all the sites I showed to you and learning more about the strategy and finding that we have all this content and that with the product development process, I had a really nice structure to do this.
Excellent. One more question. How are you managing lexicon and taxonomy, or the lexicon taxonomy?
I don't because I'm in Smart Talks.
That's a lot of really good ones. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Liz,
I
very much.
love that you have so many references.
Thank you.
And we've got 2 thank you from the audience. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming to the Single Sourcing Solutions TC Dojo, where it's all about you, what you want to learn. You should always attend a webinar live because you can't ask questions of a video. Subscribe to our TC Dojo mailing list at join.tcdojo.org and never miss another. Every month, we go out and find experts willing to share their expertise based on your votes in the TC Dojo survey. Why should we tell you what to learn? You should tell us. So be sure to vote at survey.tcdojo.org. The TC Dojo is our pleasure to host. As always, if you need more personal help, we're here to take you from the basics to mastery. See you next time.